good day, Captain Aquino, and I am Decadet Kurt Isaiah B. Lucas, and we are the Group 6, and my fellow members are Decadet Macapubri J, Decadet Magarolito P. Jr., Decadet Navaja John Ray Nino G. So course MTech 102, period semifinal, week 2, and our topic for today is all about how radar is set up for operation. So learning outcome, students will be able to know how the radar set up for operations. So the general procedure to switch on a radar set. So first, visually make sure that the scanner is clear. Second, set the 4 critical adjustment control: gain, brilliance, anti-clutter, and anti-rain clutter differentiator to off or minimum. So it is important to set properly the followings: the gain, brilliance, anti-clutter, anti-rain clutter, since it is because if rain or sea clutter is too low, there are highly possible the targets will be hidden in the clutter, whereas if it's set too high, it will cause to targets to disappear from the radar screen. So the radar can also detect rain, snow, or hail clutter in the same manner as normal targets. So third is to set the main function switch of standby transmit to standby. The radar set will then begin to warm up. Certain parts will require time for warming up. And fourth is to set range selector switch to desired range scale. Fifth is set PL selector switch to desired position short pulse for normal use. In some radar sets, the main function switch is marked off standby short long pulse, whereby the radar observer has to choose the PL automatically every time we switch on the set. In such case, omit this step as it is covered by step 9. So sixth is ensure the ABL, ERBL, VRM, and range rings are all off by turning down their respective brightness controls. 7 is set the presentation mode switch RM unstabilize, RM stabilize /PM to the RM stabilize mode. So 8 is adjust panel lights to the desired intensity. So 9, lastly, when the set has warmed up about 2 to 3 minutes after switching to standby, set the main function switch to transmit. So why is it very important to set the radar equipment on board? So it is an invaluable aid to navigation. So invaluable means extremely useful on board. So proper use and close monitoring of the radar, especially reduced and restricted visibility, can help avoid to close quarter situation or collision to each other. And it is therefore important that all radar users understand its use and have a thorough knowledge of the equipment.
Good day, I am the Cadet Rolito Pimaga Jr. So, in some sets, instead of transmit, the main function switch is marked short pulse or long pulse, so that PL has to be selected at the same time as switching on from standby. In such a case, set main function switch to short pulse. So by the way, long pulse means lots of energy but poor range discrimination, while short pulse is low energy but good range discrimination. Number 10. It generally increases the brilliance until the rotating trace becomes visible. Then gradually decrease the brilliance until the rotating trace just disappears. The brilliance has now been set correctly and should not normally require readjustment. If and when the 3 other critical adjustment controls, the gain, anti-clutter, and differentiator, or the anti-rain clutter, are all off or at minimum. Number 11. If a brilliance control is provided separately for the heading marker, turn it down. Unnecessary brightness of the heading marker will, first, it causes the heading marker to be broader than necessary. Second, it distracts the observer's attention from targets when the picture is obtained later. Third, this control will not and must not blank out at the heading marker completely, however, how the control may be set. Number 12. It ensures that the electronic center coincides with the geometric center of the display. This can be done by switching on the range rings and verifying that the outermost ring is completely visible and coincides with the circumference of the PPI. If not centered properly, part of that range ring would not be visible. If necessary, center the picture by rotating the center shift as required. Number 13. Check that the heading marker is properly aligned. When gyro stabilized, it should indicate the correct gyro course. When unstabilized, it should coincide with the zero of the bearing scale. If not, again, it as per manufacturer's instructions. Usually, a spring-loaded knob is to be pulled out or pushed in, rotated as necessary, and then released. Number 14. It gradually increased to gain until the receiver noise is just visible as a speckled background. The setting of gain would have to be reduced when sewing short range scales. Number 15. It tests the efficiency of the set, as described later this chapter. And lastly, adjust other controls as necessary. So, the next slide will be reported by Decadet Navaja.
Good day, I am Cadet Navaja John Renino. My leader assigned me to report radar resolution. So there are two important factors in radar resolution, which is range and bearing resolution. Bearing resolution is the ability of the radar to display as separate bits the echo received from two targets which are the same range and close together. It is proportional for the antenna length and reciprocally proportional to the wavelength. The length of the antenna radiator shall be chosen for a varying resolution better than 2.5. This condition is normally satisfied with a radiator of 1.2 meters or 4 feet or longer in the X band. The S band radar requires a radiator of about 12 feet or 3.6 meters or longer. And next, bearing accuracy. One of the most important features of the radar is how accurately the bearing of a target can be measured. The accuracy of the bearing measurement basically depends on the narrowness of the radar beam. And however, the bearing is usually taken relative to the ship's heading, and thus proper adjustment of the heading line at installation is an important factor in ensuring bearing accuracy. To minimize error when measuring the bearing of a target, put the target echo and the extreme position in the screen by selecting a suitable range. And that's all. And the next reporter will be Macapobre.
Good day everyone, I am Decadet Macapobre and I will going to continue the report. So, range measurement. Measurement of the range to a target is also a very important function of the radar. Generally, there are two types of measuring range. The fixed range rings and the variable range marker or the VRM. The fixed range rings appear on the screen with a predetermined interval and provide a rough estimate of the range to a target. The variable range marker's diameter is increased or decreased so that the marker touches the inner edge of the target, allowing the operator to obtain more accurate range measurement. So in this slide, we can see the EBL and the VRM. The EBL was a broken vertical line or the electronic bearing line, and the VRM, the variable range marker. So that is for our report. Thank you for listening, everyone. God bless.